My name is Joy, and I have the best sister in the whole wide world. Her name is Viviana. She's a year older than me, but sometimes I feel like the big sister. Viviana is all sunshine and smiles. She loves drawing colorful pictures and singing songs at the top of her lungs. People say she has a heart of gold, and they're right. She'd give you her last sweet without even thinking about it. She sees the good in everything. Even on a rainy day, Viviana will say, "Look, Joy, the flowers are having a drink. That's just who she is." Always finding the bright side of things. I'm a bit different. Mom says I have a busy brain. I'm always asking questions. Why is the sky blue? How do spiders make their webs? Where do the stars go in the daytime? My head is full of whys and hows and whats. I love reading big, thick books with lots of facts. I have a special notebook where I write down all the interesting things I learn. Viviana sometimes teases me and calls me Professor Joy, but she doesn't mean it in a horrid way. She's proud of me, I think. We're like two sides of the same coin, Viviana and me. She's the heart, and I'm the head. We live in a small house with a little garden. It's not a palace or anything, but it's our home. Our bedroom has bunk beds. I have the bottom bunk because I like to have my books close by. Viviana has the top bunk. She sticks glow-in-the-dark stars all over the ceiling. At night, it looks like our own private galaxy. We tell each other secrets up there, whispering so Mom and Dad can't hear. We talk about our dreams and our worries. Viviana wants to be an artist. I want to be a scientist. Or maybe an explorer, or maybe both. Growing up with a sister is like having a built-in best friend. You never have to be lonely. If I'm feeling sad, Viviana will draw me a silly cartoon to make me laugh. If she's worried about something, like a spelling test at school, I help her practice. We share everything: clothes, toys, secrets. Sometimes we argue, of course. Like the time she used my special science pen to draw a mustache on her doll. I was furious. But we can't stay mad at each other for long. By tea time, we're always friends again. It's a sister rule. My curiosity sometimes gets us into scrapes, but most of the time it helps us. I remember when Viviana's favorite teddy bear, Barnaby, went missing. She was so upset. She cried and cried until her face was all red and blotchy. Mom and Dad looked everywhere, but they couldn't find him. Viviana was sure he was gone forever. She wouldn't eat her dinner or watch her favorite cartoon. Seeing her so sad made my heart feel heavy. I knew I had to do something. I had to use my brain to solve the mystery of the missing bear. So I turned into a detective. I got my notebook and a pencil. I started by asking Viviana questions, just like they do in the mystery books I read. "Where did you last see Barnaby?" I asked her in my most serious voice. She sniffled and said she had him in the garden. "What were you doing?" I continued. She said she was helping Dad with the weeding. I wrote it all down. The scene of the crime was the back garden. The time was yesterday afternoon. The victim was a fluffy brown bear with one button eye. I was on the case. I put on my thinking cap. I went into the garden and looked for clues. I looked under the bushes and behind the shed. Nothing. Then I remembered something I'd read in a book about how animals sometimes take things. I saw our neighbor's dog, Buster, peeking through a hole in the fence. A light bulb went on in my head. I walked over to the fence and peered through, and there, lying in the middle of Buster's dog bed, was Barnaby. He was a bit slobbery, but he was safe. I had solved the case. Viviana was so happy she hugged me for a whole minute. She said I was the best detective in the world. Dad helped me get Barnaby back, and Mom gave him a good wash. He looked as good as new. Viviana said my brain wasn't just busy, it was brilliant. That made me feel all warm inside. It showed me that being curious and liking books wasn't just a hobby. It was a superpower I could use to help the people I love most, especially my big sister. It was one of our first big problems, and we solved it together. Our biggest adventure happened one summer. We decided we wanted to build a proper treehouse. Not just a blanket over a branch, but a real one with walls and a roof. Dad said he was too busy to help, so we decided to do it ourselves. I found a book in the library called Simple Woodwork for Beginners. I studied the pictures and made a list of all the things we would need. Viviana was in charge of design. She drew a beautiful plan with a flower box under the window and a colorful flag for the roof. We were a great team. We collected old bits of wood from behind the shed. We found a big plastic sheet for the roof. Our piggy bank had enough money to buy a box of nails. It was hard work. The wood was heavy, and hammering the nails in straight was tricky. I hit my thumb more than once. Ouch! Viviana got a splinter in her finger. There were a few times we wanted to give up. The walls were wobbly and the floor wasn't very flat. It looked more like a pile of wood than a house. We sat down on the grass, feeling a bit defeated. But then Viviana started singing one of her silly songs. And I remembered a chapter in my book about making strong joints. I showed her the picture. We realized we needed to overlap the wood in a different way. We tried again. Slowly, carefully, our wobbly pile of wood started to look like a real treehouse. It wasn't perfect. The door was a bit crooked and there were gaps in the walls. But it was ours. We had built it ourselves. We climbed inside, feeling very proud. It was our own secret hideout. That treehouse became our special place. We spent hours up there. We'd take snacks and books and spend the whole afternoon reading and chatting. One time a big storm came. The wind howled and the rain hammered down on our plastic roof. It was a bit scary. The treehouse swayed in the wind. Viviana held my hand tight. I told her about how trees are strong because their roots go deep into the ground. I explained how our little house was safe because it was nestled in strong branches. My facts made her feel better. We weren't scared anymore. We were just two sisters, safe in our hideout, weathering the storm together. Life isn't always about building tree houses and finding lost toys. Sometimes things are hard, like when I had to get glasses. I hated them. I felt silly. Some kids at school called me Four Eyes. I came home and cried into my pillow. I didn't want to go back to school ever again. Viviana found me. She didn't say anything at first. She just sat next to me and gave me a hug. Then she went to her art box. She came back with a pair of her sunglasses. She had carefully popped the dark lenses out. She put the empty frames on her nose. "Look," she said, "now we're twins." She wore those silly frames to school with me the next day. She told everyone that glasses were the coolest new fashion accessory. Because Viviana was so popular and kind, everyone listened. Nobody called me names after that. Some girls even asked where they could get frames like ours. She stood up for me when I couldn't stand up for myself. That's what sisters do. They are your shield when you feel small and your cheerleader when you feel strong. She made me see that it wasn't about what was on my face, but who I had by my side. And I do the same for her. When she had to perform a song in the school play, she got terrible stage fright. Her hands were shaking and she said she felt sick. She wanted to hide. I found her hiding behind the curtain. I reminded her of all the times she'd sung in her bedroom, hitting every note perfectly. I told her to just pretend she was in our room, singing just for me. I promised I'd be in the front row, smiling at her. She took a deep breath, walked onto the stage, and sang like an angel. I was so proud. My heart felt like it would burst. Growing up means things change. We won't always be in the same bedroom with bunk beds and glow-in-the-dark stars. We'll have different friends and go on different adventures. But one thing will never change. We will always have each other. Our bond is like an invisible string that connects our hearts. No matter how far apart we are, we'll always be connected. Having a sister like Viviana is the greatest gift. It's a journey of laughter, tears, and endless support. It's knowing you have a best friend for life, someone who understands you without you having to say a word. It's the best story of all.